Ladies and gentlemen, the Vienna Vikings have arrived.
We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them.
We've been waiting for this type of performance. We've been waiting for this type of win. We've been saying that the Vikings don't play anyone in season. They win the East every year. They only have one loss since joining the ELF in regular season, and that was 2022 in Frankfurt, right? How are they going to be this year when they have to play the Rhein Fire, when they have to play the Paris Musketeers, all right? Not to mention, they go to the playoff and beat these teams anyway. They beat Paris last year, but still, it was always that narrative. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Vienna Vikings have arrived, right? They pull off a great, greedy, ugly dogfight of a win in Dusseldorf versus the Rhein Fire. But real quick, drop a comment, locker room. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already check out my instant reaction to Paris versus Frankfurt. Check out my instant reaction to DeMarco Artis. And if that hit on RecentNet was a dirty play. Not to mention later this week, Tuesday, we got Power Rankings. Thursday, Week 4 picks and previews with a possible guest. All right, let's talk about Fire versus Vienna. Vienna wins 12-7. What do we learn about this game? Let's start with the Fire first. I'm still disappointed in their offense. Granted, Chad Jeffries was your leading rusher. Not all those were by design, but you're making the point that the loss of Glenn Tunga was huge. On the other hand, everyone says Glenn couldn't do without that O-line. It's roughly the same O-line. What's going on? Because now if you're going to say it's the running back, then you're just proving the impact Glenn had was warranted, right? If you were going to say Glenn with that O-line was the reason they play well most of the time, Glenn leaves, O-line pretty much stays intact, but there's no production out the run game, the math don't make sense. You let me know what that means. So Rhein Fire, their offense, still a little disappointed. The passing game picked up for sure, but Chad Jeffries, you got to get Chad Jeffries a run game. He can't be a leading rusher, right? Perfect example. Look when Chad's first season in Munich, who did he have? He had Markel Castle and Tommy Awewu, MVP nominee. But he had one of the top running backs in the league. You got to give this guy a run game, right? He can't do it. You're 2 games into the season. He's not meant to be a 1,000-yard rusher and passer, but he's on the verge of it at this rate. Passing game, what did he throw for? 224. Roy Starkey. I said it. I was waiting for his production. I didn't think he was a bust. I was just waiting to see what the signing was about. Great day today. 152 for a touchdown. He balled. I even had that long one across the middle, right? What the Fire were trying to do they were trying to target it and challenge those young linebackers for Vienna, right? With slants, with digs, with crossers, right? Even when Fire did a good job at condensing the interior pocket, forcing Chad to move on the outside. Even when he was going on the outside, he was still looking for those crossers. And even when he was going, there was always a second contained rusher, almost like a spy, making sure that he wasn't getting out the pocket or wasn't rushing for more yards than what he could, because they all saw what he did to Paris, right? So I thought Fire passing wise had a good game plan. I wanted to see them. We need more balance on that offense. Defense played pretty well. I thought they played well enough to win. They did get burnt on that deep route by Bua, and then the other touchdown earlier. Amari Williams has a clutch interception at the right time, putting their offense in position to win. And they had a chance, Ryan. They had a chance. I think based on what we've seen, and not every coordinator is Andrew, not every coordinator is Danny Mitchell, but offenses should have some sort of creativity. I think it's lacking there. Right, I think you got guys. You got Bua. I don't think felt like he hasn't been used really. I think he only had one catch in the game. I mean, they play Paris this week. We'll see how this game against Paris. See if they can turn things around. Because remember, with this game against the Vikings, Fire were coming off a bye. You had 2 weeks, and it's your home opener. That only just proves the statement that the Vienna Vikings made that this could possibly be their season. I already talked about the Rhein Fire defense and Amari Williams' inception, but Mosquero, 3 sacks today. Okay, buddy. Okay. Showing that just because they lost Aaron Doncor don't mean they lost sack of production. I like that he balled out. Shout out to him. Being the Vikings. I felt like offensively, it felt like a conservative game plan. I feel like they didn't want to make mistakes. I feel like they were trying to play clean. At the end of the day, a win's a win. I'll tell you what, though. This Schultz kid, I think Bresenton was on him early. I like him. I like what he's made of, like his style of play. I like what he's made of, like his style of play. They're not going to miss a beat with him at running back. I can tell you that now. When you look at this offense coordinator Nick Johnson running it now. Remember, Vienna has had a new offensive coordinator every single year since being in this league. I think we're all still waiting to see this offense explode, to see this offense, be what people think it's going to be with all the weapons that they have. And we thought this was going to be the game, but maybe it's not because you're going up against a veteran defense. Either way, I thought Ben felt in control. I felt like, besides the interception, I felt like he played well. 100, I think it was like 150 some passing yards. At the end of the day, all Vienna wants to do is win, and that's what they did here. I thought the defense played great on third down, right? Forcing the Rhein fire to punt, not really having the fire play behind the sticks. I thought overall it was a great team performance, right? And the Vienna Vikings, you could throw away the narrative if they don't play nobody, because they play somebody and they won. They won by a dominant defensive performance too. You can't just say this was lack of production from the fire or offensive explosion for Vikings. The defense played well. And I think they set the tone at opening kickoff. I think Amani Dennis returned us like the 50 or something like that. And ever since then, that's when the Vikings kind of wanted to start making their mark right from the opening kickoff. But Vikings play well, 12-7. I thought both teams, again, were a little conservative, but play solid defense. Again, I love defensive games, love defensive matchups. This was a championship caliber type of game between two teams, right? You got to appreciate that. And the Vikings continue their in-season win streak. Remember, since joining the ELF in 2022, the Vienna Vikings have lost only one game in season, and that was to the 2022 Frankfurt Galaxy in Frankfurt. Keep in mind the Vikings won the championship that year, right? Locker room, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Remember, I got instant reaction to Paris, Frankfurt. Instant reaction to DeMarco Artist hit versus Rhein. You know how it is. Locker room, drop a comment. Let's talk about it and subscribe. Appreciate your support.